Bye bye Bellum.
This episode's particularly controversial, and honestly, the reason for that is kind of stupid. See, what this episode represents to the series is really what makes it controversial. This episode is the episode in which they kind of write out Miss Bellum in this show. Now, the fact that they feel the need to write out Miss Bellum says something, but I'll get there in a moment when we get into the part that actually does write out Miss Bellum. And that being said, Miss Bellum was a minor character to begin with. If they don't want to use her, they don't have to use her. And honestly, I think it allows the mayor to be a little bit more of an important character if they don't. So, it's not a decision I necessarily agree with, don't get me wrong, but it's also one that I perfectly well understand. That being said, I still don't like this episode. Let's talk about the episode that most overtly shows that Miss Bellum isn't a part of this series.
We open with video game.
Nothing wrong with this. It's going to be a little bit important for the conflict later, but there is something about this specifically that I want to address.
Each of the girls describes something they want to do in the game, with Blossom being the studious one, Bubbles being the cutesy one, and Buttercup being the violent one.
Besides the individual personalities not really playing a role beyond this point, this is almost exactly the same as the opening to Escape from Monster Island. Different context for which we get the personalities of the girls, sure. And it's in a different order, but otherwise it's the same. That's going to be something worth noting for when I give my thoughts on the episode as a whole.
Anyway, gag about the art style phone call. Mayor's office is a wreck.
And I honestly have yet to figure out exactly why. Okay, presumably we can get that he either was trying to open that jar of pickles and that caused the wreck, or he was in such a distraught mess from reading the letter that he created that mess himself. Either way, we get the idea. The mayor is distraught, and the wreckage inside of the office actually accentuates that decently enough. So it serves a purpose at the very least.
And that bad news happens to be that Miss Bellum is taking a 1,000-day vacation after accumulating vacation days over 12 straight years of work.
Okay, considering this is the premise that serves as a catalyst for the entire conflict of this episode, it's pretty bad that I can call out this many problems with it. I'm going to end up reading a little bit from my script because there's some math involved here. But first of all, I want to point out that Miss Bellum must be working for a separate firm. That's the only way she'd be able to go on a vacation without telling the mayor. That's the only way she'd be able to use her vacation days without having to inform the mayor that she's using her vacation days. I would presume that the reason that she had to use her vacation days is because they would expire. Even though, you know, if it pained her that much, she could just let the fucking vacation days expire, and not all of them would expire at once. But if it's a firm, then honestly, why not tell the firm to bring a replacement? That seems like such an easy option, doesn't it? And for that matter, if you have to take the vacation, who cares what you're doing on the vacation? Why can't you just work for him during your vacation? If you care that much, you may as well be able to do that. But, oh, then there's the math. So, there's the number of vacation days she earned in 12 years. She said she earned over 1,000. We're just going to say 1,000 for the sake of argument. To get 1,000 days in 12 years, she'd have to earn close to 3 months of vacation time every year. Who the fuck gives that much vacation pay? And before you try to say it's because she works 7 days a week during that time, I did the math on that too. Even someone who works 5 days a week during 48 weeks of the year, and the other 4 weeks they get 20 vacation days to cover that 4 weeks because they only work 5 days a week, they'd still earn just over 30 days in a single year working 365 days in that year. So this is completely ludicrous. I mean, most people don't even get a month of vacation time, let alone get, 3 months of vacation time? I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. And again, if she has to take the vacation time, Why don't you just work for the mayor anyway? It's your vacation. You're allowed to do whatever you want. You can work for the mayor. You're getting paid regardless. And then there's what this means for the overall show. Now, I have a question. Why do you need to write Miss Bellum out in this fashion if this is supposed to be a reboot? I mean, if it's a reboot, writing out Miss Bellum should be very simple. Don't write her into the show. Boom, done. Maybe make a reference or two in this plot and have the mayor just need an assistant, and maybe have like somebody show up who looks like Miss Bellum, and they're like, "What about her?" And the mayor's like, "She's pretty, but I don't think she's the right one." Like, make a joke out of it or something. But no, you wrote her into the plot of this episode. You wrote her into the freaking ending of the episode, for that matter. So, this is not the last time. If this were the only time that I got an indication that this was supposed to be a continuation, I would just let it go. But no, we're going to see later some more indications that this is a continuation of the original series, which makes 2 episodes particularly bad. First being Princess Buttercup. Mainly with the fact that almost everyone is out of character. Buttercup, not so much. But Princess Morbucks is out of character. She shouldn't want to be a Powerpuff Girl at this point. She should want to destroy them. Blossom is out of character for even letting Morbucks in, especially as easily as she did. Bubbles is out of character for forgiving Princess Morbucks. Like, let's be honest here. That episode becomes much more poorly written if this is supposed to be a continuation. The other episode that is worse with this being a continuation is Escape from Monster Island. And most notably, this is actually something that kind of goes into the order of the series as a whole, really, because
The mayor
already showed himself as independently capable in that episode. So the fact that he's not independently capable in this episode comes across as, stupid.
And that's why him pointing out how much he relied on Miss Bellum only seems to apply to the original show. Anyway, the girls decide to help. It's more work than they anticipated. While they bitch, we meet the villain, who's a fashionista that wants to destroy the girls.
Why? We don't exactly learn what beef she has specifically with the girls, and this plot doesn't really work at all if the girls already know her from somewhere, like if they were the reason that she was arrested.
Although the TV footage showing her in her non-prison clothing when she threatens to destroy the girls indicates that to be the case.
So, I guess, I don't know, the clothes are tacky? Let's go with their clothes are tacky, yeah.
Whatever, the girls decide their solution is to find a new assistant for the mayor.
Which they should have already been doing, since we haven't seen them do anything that requires more than one of them.
When they run into Bianca and hire her on the spot.
Now they can go play video games!
All night. Without ever sleeping.
The moral is responsibility. That's why everyone is stupid, by the way.
Oh no, Bianca released Monkey from the prison jail. Oh no, Power Grills are asleep.
Wait a minute, really? So no one else thought to invade the girl's home by this point. And yeah.
Middle of the day seems like the best time of day to invade the home of the most famous family in the city.
So is Bianca supposed to be learning about being a responsible criminal too?
Whatever, here's the best scene in the goddamn episode where the mayor decides to take action for himself when the girls get captured.
I like the mix between humor and plot progression. The painting on the wall thing is kind of neat, and honestly, it's the only scene I don't really have a big problem with.
Speaking of problems, not the molten polyester! Luckily, mayor.
They used the polyester fumes and the girl's tiredness as an excuse for some sort of video game inspired hallucinations. And so far this scene is fine, but body blow! That's not a body blow. That's clearly a blow to the head. You're clearly implying a blow to the head. I mean, I guess you could argue that he hit them in the body and then the momentum carried him upward, and that's what that is. But again, I'm saying the implication is they hit him in the head. Whatever. Actual fight scene.
Tie-dye! I'm tacky!
Well, wait a minute. If this normal McNormalton. How the fuck was this going to kill the Powerpuff Girls? What, was she going to hold them down in it and drown them? Sure. God. You know, at least when Man-Boy threatened to destroy Buttercup, he had cannons.
Whatever, day is saved and the ending card gets played mostly straight, save for Miss Bellum at the end.
Why are you people complaining about Miss Bellum when the episode itself is just bad? I mean, everyone is written 6 ways to stupid, and I do mean everyone. At least for the mayor, it's somewhat in character for him to be written that way. But even with the overall series, this probably should have been the first episode. It doesn't really focus on any one of the girls more than the others. And it does introduce their individual personalities at the same time. And in fact, I would argue that it does a better job of doing so. Not to mention the fact that it also introduces some other characters that we see later in the series. Introducing the mayor in a much better way than Escape from Monster Island did. It's not like we're seeing Frederick again. And to be honest, I would not want to continue watching this series if this were the first episode, though. Because the writing was abysmal. Everyone was out of character for what's been established in this series. And people were, again, just stupid. Just to make it more convenient to write the plot. I mean, if you put a little bit more effort, this would have been so much better. But the way it is now, I'm really glad this wasn't the first episode.